name again is Donald Edwards. I'm employed with DTE Energy in Detroit, Michigan. And I guess I was asked by the association this year to kind of go back through and do a presentation I did a while back. And this is talking about survey instrumentations, things that you'll need, just some common things that you'll need when you conduct a survey. And so this is kind of like a 101 class. So I'm going to go through a bunch of these kind of fast, but at the end you'll have a chance to ask any questions. So with that, let's go to the first one. So what type of survey equipment would you need to just do regular measurements, distance, height, that type of thing? So normally, I mean, you're all familiar with a tape measure, right? We've all done this. This is great when you're trying to get really nice, accurate measurements, right? You make contact with your surface and you get really good measurements, right? If you're a carpenter or something like that, you need this. So if this is great for now, but we're energy engineers and we're walking the floor. We're gonna need a little bit more than just this. So I'm gonna, let's see, I'll pick somebody in the room. I'll pick you. I'm gonna ask you to do something with that in just a second. Okay, the next item that we really want to start using now is a digital laser type of distance measurement. And it's easy to use. You just turn on the power. I'm not endorsing anybody in particular. This happens to be Bosch. So I got a really good deal with this one. It reads up to 135 feet. You can usually buy these for about $1 a foot in the store. So you really need to get something like this, handheld, non-contact. So I'm gonna ask, let's see, how about you? All right, so now we're on an energy audit. We gotta get this mounting height for the fixtures. So I'm gonna ask you to do that with your tape measure, and you can do it with yours. Which one is gonna get it? Okay, so again, this is just to illustrate we really need those tools now. So, and I really get if you want to get the measurement, and you don't have to. Normally what we used to do is we would count the number of bricks on the wall, right? Yeah, I mean, it's an 8-inch brick, and usually that's another way to get ceiling heights or mounting heights, stuff like that. So basically, that's an easy thing to get. Is considered what we call non-contact. You don't have to really touch a surface. Bunch of price ranges. Again, that's about $1 per foot. Next thing on there for measurements, maybe you'll need a GPS meter to get you latitude, longitude. I don't do that much, but it's nice to have. Your cell phones can do that for you on your compass feature. But the thing that you need to know is that you got to get that down really, really low. You got to be like a 0.000008, to really get a good measurement. So if you're trying to get a GPS coordinate for here and then you go out the building, you want to get something that gives you a really good accuracy if you need to do that. The other item on there is that I use a lot at my job is if you want to see on top of a building, of course, this is an easy way to do it. You just Google it, right? You can count how many air houses. You can see what type of roofing system they may have. So that's a really good thing to do. Imagine a lot of people are doing that now. If you're not doing it, if you need to do it, there's an option for you. Low cost, right at your desk. Okay, temperature, humidity, thermometers, hygrometers, psychrometers. I mean, which one to use? Actually, so this tool right here is probably the basic one that you need just to get temperature. It's quick, it's fairly accurate. You just point and click. And usually this type of infrared or laser temperature gun is good. I mean, I usually carry one of these when I'm doing an energy audit. So just aim wherever you want to go and get your measurement. These cost about $60. They can go all the way up to $600. And basically on this particular model, you can just get dry bulb. So it's just dry bulb temperature. Anybody want to look at this? I'll pass it around. Again, these are things that maybe you've seen these before. Yeah, you want to pass that. Next item on there, a hygrometer. I'm not so sure if between that and the psychrometer, they're about the same. The psychrometer basically will give you one more measuring point, dew point. So that's very good to have. You need to know what indoor air quality is like, what your space temperature is like. So here's a psychrometer. This happens to be a particular manufacturer, and again, they're out on the market. Everybody's got them. You know, depending on your budget, the goal is to try and get as many of these things in one tool as you can. You know, you don't want to carry around a whole arsenal, but I probably have done that before. So try and get one of these. This particular one, I have dry bulb, wet bulb, percent humidity, relative humidity, and dry bulb, all in this one. Will you ever use them all? I mean, you'll need dry bulb. You'll probably need humidity. If you're doing some more special applications, paint shops or something like that, you may want to have it for a dew point. That last bullet, again, try and get as many types of measurements in one unit. This particular one, I got the 4 items in here, and it cost about, this one was $71. Okay, light. If you're doing an energy audit, you want a nice, powerful, maybe LED flashlight to carry around with you. That's easy enough. Light meters now, in the old days when I started off, we didn't have LED. So now make sure your light meter covers LED. So also make sure you still get it so you can read HIDs, fluorescence. You know, we still have some incandescents. I couldn't believe it, but my hotel, every lamp in the fixtures were incandescent. And this is a new addition. It's a new building. I think they said about 2 or 3 years ago. Every single lamp, and I took them out to make sure, because sometimes, you know, the LEDs can look like incandescents. These are incandescents. So maybe they get a good deal on the power here. That could be. Make sure you get a nice light meter that reads LED. That's the big take on that. That last bullet on there is a remote ballast checker. If you're new to the business, we used to have something called T12s, magnetic ballast. So you want to, you know, they're still out there. So a good way, a really nice, neat thing to do is if you have like these recessed fixtures and you don't know if they're an electronic or magnetic ballast, you buy this really simple product and you can shine it up at the fixture and you can determine if it's got a magnetic ballast or an electronic ballast. And then there you'll know if it's already, if it was already, you know, converted to a electronic ballast like a T8. So a lot of times I've had a lot of rooms and spaces we didn't know for sure if it's a magnetic T12 or T8. And then with the covers on them, you can't tell if they're maybe T12s. So that's a real good device to have, about $150 to get them. Saves a whole lot of time. Okay, ultrasonic leak detectors. This is something that every energy engineer has probably done in their lifetime, is go out and get compressed air leaks. Again, compressed air leaks are considered, you know, consume 10 to 30% of a facility's energy use, and that's mandated by the US DOE. So getting compressed air leaks, finding them is really something that you all want to try and do. And I actually brought a ultrasonic leak detector. Now, we probably don't have any leaks right in this vicinity, but this just happens to be amp probe, and they're probably one of the leaders in it. There are others on there. We had a couple good product vendors here at the show. UEI was here, and then another company was here. They also had a nice compressed air device. So make sure you get something that's, this is probably a medium range. It's costs about a couple $100, and it's easy to use. You have a high sensitivity level down to a low. You start off on the high sensitivity level. You put on your earmuffs, and you direct your sensor to try and find your leaks, and you walk around, and it's got a nice little neat device on it that lets you know when you're getting close to it. Kind of like finding treasure, like going on a treasure hunt. And so you're finding compressed air leaks. Anybody want to take a look at this? You can turn it on, and yeah. Again, Synergy makes a really nice one. This one over here, I haven't seen this one yet, but that's got to be really nice. It actually has a monitor on it, a video camera. It lets you know when you're pinpointing your leaks, and it also has a feature that lets you identify how large your leak is, which is a really good thing to know. Okay, I got to speed it up a little bit.
What's your distance?
What's the distance? How far? So, the good question. The question was, what's the distance? How far you can read? I haven't gotten anybody to give me a distance. I've asked Amp Pro, well, how far can you be? They didn't give me a distance. So, I want to say, hopefully you can go 50 feet. If you point it in the right direction on the highest sensitivity level, maybe you get a ping, and you can start walking that way. Usually when you see the brochures, they show somebody right at the leak. Like an inch. They have it on the leak, so I don't think that's a good representation of probably what it can do, right? Good question. A lot of different costs. The high-end one is $4,000, so, that's not bad. Leaks are really incredibly expensive. Okay, cameras, digital cameras are great to have. Of course, you want to use those to document nameplates on equipment. The thermal imaging camera, that's got to be one of the nicest tools in your arsenal to have. You want to get a thermal imaging camera. I saw a couple on the floor this time at the expo, and I have used the Flare E5, and it gives pretty good resolution. So the big take on that is try and spend as much as you can on the most resolution that you want to get. The one that I have has like 10,800 pixels. So we really want something, and that's a nice unit. If you can get higher than that, if you can get up to 640 by 320, that number multiplied, you would have a really nice tool. So, got to get one of those. Video scopes, borescopes for looking in maybe boiler tubes, looking for corrosion and clogged tubes. That's something that's kind of a specialty thing. You probably won't be getting into that much. Just know that they're out there. I also, if you get a copy of the presentation on the bottom, I'm not going to go through all those names. I just kind of listed some of the names of the manufacturers on there, so you'll have them. Pressure meters, I happen to have a pressure meter. Again, this is something that if you're trying to do maybe an air balance study, looking at pressure in a room, right now this is telling me the pressure in this room by not, and with the two probes open, the pressure in this room is something like 0.02 inches of water column. Normally, you'll leave one open and then maybe run a tube to another room or outside so you can get a differential pressure reading. The way I use it, again, this is something that, there are a lot of good uses for this, usually for HVAC. So, but if we're energy engineers and walking through a building, you're maybe trying to do an air balance, maybe that's the way you want to use it. And this one, the sensitivity, you really want to get, this one is 5 PSI, which is on the low end. If you can get something lower than that so you can actually see a difference in each room, that would be a good thing to have. Anybody want to look at this? It's up here if you want to look at it later. Okay, next, I got to speed it up. Airflow anemometers. Okay, everybody's heard of those, right? Anemometers. Okay, those are, you got to have an anemometer. Those you can use, and again, for my purpose, I'm not using them, you can use them at the ducts, the registers, but I'm kind of looking at, again, the air balance thing, looking at big floors and walking through and seeing what the airflow is in a room. So there are two different main types, a rotary vane and a hot wire. The hot wire gets down to a lower velocity. So both of these, the applications are for air velocity and air flow. Air velocity is in feet per minute, and air flow is CFM. So you really want to get something that gets you down really, really low in air velocity, feet per minute. Costs can be, they range all the way from up to 500. Again, the big take is try and stretch your budget. Don't try not to go on the low end. Stay in the mid range, or if you can stay up in the upper range, that'll do you some real good over the years. I mean, you buy it once, you keep it forever. Make it a good item. Indoor air quality is big, so CO2 meters, CO meters. Again, indoors, I have one here, and I'll turn on the power, and anybody want to, I think it's already set up, but somebody want to tell me what the CO2 is in this room? Well, here, just hold it for a while. Yeah, this way this is gonna count down. It's got a 0 and count down. So normally your CO2 level should be normal background is 400, 5 minutes to go. So in this room, we're probably, I don't know, maybe around 400, 500 CO2 level. It may not.
Detects an error before it was saying 298.
Okay, so maybe, normally you're supposed to take those outdoors in the regular atmosphere and zero them out. I rushed over here today, I didn't zero it, but normal background is 400. So if you go outside, it may be a little bit less, but just keep in mind the ASHRAE limit for buildings is something like 1,000, and OSHA long-term exposure is something like 5,000. I think I had a question way in the back.
Yeah, any guidance as far as zeroing them out? I mean, if your job site is near a major highway or
Yeah.
something like that, I mean,
the guidelines say you should be outside kind of in regular air. Try and be somewhere where you're down to as natural as possible. Yeah, good question. CO monitors, I have one of those. Okay, CO, you want to be down to 0, so make sure you have one of those for your energy audits. Costs can vary. Particle counter. Okay, so particulate matter, that's another big, huge indoor air quality item. These cost a lot more, so A PM 2.5 is kind of, you want to make sure you're really screening for those. Anything from the PM 10 to the PM 2.5. Blower doors, this is something more of a specialty thing. So if you want to depressurize a building, usually down to 50 psi, pascals, yeah. That's a kind of a specialty thing. You may have somebody come in and do that. That's something I'm not recommending you buy. You probably have a company come in and do that for you. Electrical measurements, the only thing I use on the job right now, and it's this nice, neat little thing, is kilowatt meter. They've been out for a long time now. We show ground floor people how much, a refrigerator's using energy. Plug it in and let it run for about a week. Tools you'll need for the job: a laptop computer. Make sure you have that. And I am going to promote one thing, and that's the AEE book on energy audits. So they were selling them at this conference. I think a little discount, could have been a discount, but make sure you maybe get that book and go through it. And it has a lot of good tips on doing an energy audit and the tools, again, that you'll need to do it. Safety is always first. Make sure if you're in an area that you need safety glasses or vests, make sure you have it on. The conclusion, the stars are the things that I think everybody needs as a young engineer on the job. So, any questions? Sorry I had to go through that really fast.